Marvelous Books. Thank you for coming back, and if you're new, thank you for joining. Today I'm going to be talking about books that have like the best plot twists, in my opinion. So if you read this book and thought the plot twist was crap, sorry, I just thought they were really good. I've seen this around like multiple times, but the number one person I saw do it like recently was Haley Hughes. I think her video was older, but I saw it recently and I was like, that's a genius idea. I don't think we have any similar books on here, but I can't remember. So I just went through my Goodreads and screenshot the ones I was like, yep, that one blew my mind. So these are not in order of like awesomeness, they're just in a stack, okay? So the very first one I'm going to talk about is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. I read this one pretty recently. It's about this girl. She was in jail for the death of her best friend, like knowing about it. And this starts out with her like getting out of jail. And then it goes back and forth in time before the murder and then like present day. And then I thought the end was freaking crazy. Like, I did not see that coming. But once she gets out of jail, more deaths start happening. And they're trying to figure out if it is the same person as last time because he got away. So, very good book. I don't want to say too much because I feel like it is just great to go in blind. But I think this is the only Jennifer Hillier I've ever read. And it was amazing. The next one, a lot of these authors, I apologize in advance. I've talked about them a whole lot. Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I love this one. In my last video, Joe read a 1-star review of it, and it said the ending was crap. What? No. I mean, I agree, it's a little too convenient, but you weren't going to see it coming, in my opinion. I don't know, I love this book. Obviously, it's 5 stars. So this one's kind of similar, and it goes from present day to the past. Maybe I just like that. But it goes back and forth in time. This girl, the main character, I don't remember her name, Libby, her whole family was murdered one night, and the person who went to jail for it was her brother. And in the present day, people are trying to, like, prove his innocence in it and get him out of jail. Well, the only reason he's in jail is because she claimed on the stand that she saw her brother do it. Like, she saw him there that night, which is the only reason he went to jail is because she was a witness. And it's just kind of going back and forth in time once again of, like, present day, her trying to kind of... I mean, she was really young when it happened, like 7, yeah. So it's her trying to, like, kind of remember as well. And then we're going back in time. I think it's days before the event happened and kind of just seeing the course of events. And then the end, of course, is the night her whole family was murdered. Very good, very big, very dark, but very good. Jar of Hearts is also extremely dark. If you do not enjoy dark books, don't recommend. They're dark, very dark, dark. Another one by Gillian Flynn is Sharp Objects. This one is about a reporter kind of like fizzling out, and her boss is like, hey, there are these murders happening in your hometown. You should go back and report on them. Since you're from there, it'll be like extra awesome. So she goes to kind of report on these murders. I think they're all little girls, 2 preteen girls. And she ends up staying with her mom and her sister, which she's kind of like strained relationship with them. I honestly think this one might go back and forth in time too. I know we get some, I don't think it's explicitly back and forth in time, but I know we get like some story of what happened as her being a kid. It's been a really long time since I've read this. I just remember the end and did not see who the murderer was at all. This is an HBO show. It's very popular. I didn't watch the show, but it's a very good book. All I truly remember is this reporter going back to her hometown to try to figure out who's murdering all these girls. Dark. Another very dark one. I think after this, they're not as bad. Okay, some of them. Karin Slaughter, Queen of Darkness, Pretty Girls. This book is about these two sisters. One of them is married. I don't think she has a relationship with her, strangers. Like, they don't have a relationship with each other anymore. They had a younger sister, when they were younger, they had a sister who went missing. So their sister went missing. And then in the present day, the one that's married, her husband is murdered. And so, like, the sisters kind of meet up again, and stuff from their past just keeps coming back out. And you kind of find out that these two murders might be connected. Yeah, it is. This book is a ride. Like, the stuff that comes uncovered is insanely dark and crazy. And yeah, it's insane. Very dark. The end blew my mind, and I loved it. I need to reread this. I think I read this in like 2019. It's been a long time, so sorry that it's my crappy retelling of it, but it's a very good book. Very dark things. The next one is not as dark. Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. This one's very popular. It's a Netflix show. If you haven't seen the show, don't watch it before you read it, because I think the show, like the way they have to portray it, because it's a show, kind of gives it away, in my opinion. But I also read it before I watched it, but still. This book has a very polarizing ending, because it's kind of like, I don't think you can guess what happens in this book. Like, there's just no way, because it's, kind of paranormal-esque. I don't know if that's like a spoiler, but the ending is just very polarizing, because it's truly impossible to guess, so people get mad about that. But this is about this woman. She's a single mom. She starts a new job, and I want to say, like, before her first day, she, like, accidentally sleeps with her boss. Yeah. On a night out, she kissed her boss, and then she goes into work, and oops, that guy's her boss. Extra oops, he's married. So that's an extra fun little twist in it. And so it's kind of like a domestic thriller, but the end is just really crazy. And, even if you've watched the show and you know the end, it's still a really good book, but the show does follow the book really well. So if you haven't seen the show, I highly, highly recommend the book. This next one I've read very recently, so I'll be able to describe it much, much better. Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney blew my freaking mind. I finished the book. Well, I got to the twist, and I, like, flipped back to the beginning, because I was like, what the heck? How's that? What did I just read? And, like, I do want to reread this book knowing the ending, because it's insane. Like, it's insane. And I need to know. I just don't understand. But I just need to read it knowing what I know. So this is about a couple that has been together, and they're kind of going through a rocky situation in their marriage. So they go to this secluded old chapel that has been renovated into, like, an Airbnb situation that you can stay the night there. And so they're going to do, like, a little weekend away to try to patch up their marriage and see if time away from the real world will salvage them. A snowstorm hits, and they are, like, trapped in this chapel. No service. I'm pretty sure there's no electricity. It's very cold. They can't, like, leave in their car because it's a ginormous snowstorm, so they're just stuck. And then crazy, crazy stuff starts to happen. And the ending blows my mind. And it's so good. So good. It's short, too. Very much recommend this on, like, a snowed in day. That's why I picked it up, is because it was snowing, and I was like, perfect. I'm going to read this book because it's snowy. And it was amazing, and I highly recommend reading it if you have snow in your area, to read this while it's snowy outside. The last one I'm going to recommend, no, it's not. The next one I'm going to recommend is The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. This one I read fairly recently. This one is about this housewife in Texas. She's, like, chilling by the pool, and she's listening to this podcast, and the name of this woman who the podcast episode is about is actually her friend from college. So she like perks up and starts like listening intently, and she finds the host of this podcast because it's like a friend of hers from high school too. And they start to investigate what happened to this girl because she allegedly killed herself, but they don't believe it. They don't believe she killed herself, and it's just kind of them trying to figure out what happened to this girl because she hasn't spoken to her since college because something happened to them in college and they just like went their separate ways and never spoke again. And so it kind of goes, the woman talks about what happened to her in college, and then her and this podcast host try to figure out what happened to this girl and if she was murdered and staged as if she killed herself or if she actually killed herself. The plot twist in this, obviously, I did not see coming, blew my mind. Very good, I think. A little dark. It's fairly dark. Not as dark as some of the other ones, but I would say it's a smidgen dark. Oopsie. Let me move some of these. Okay, the next one that I have physically is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. It's a thick boy. This one is about this character who keeps, every day he wakes up, I think it's he, in a new, like, body. And he figures out, at the end of the night, this girl, Evelyn Hardcastle, dies every night. So his goal is to try to figure out who did it. And every day he wakes up in a new, like, character's body. So he gets a different perspective, but he also remembers everything that's happened the previous nights to try to solve who killed Evelyn. If I remember correctly, he has a certain amount of days. I don't remember how he figured that out, but he doesn't have forever to figure it out. The ending I thought was just really unique. Like, it was different than anything I've ever read before. I really liked Stuart Turton's writing. But yeah, this one also, I just think this plot twist is hard to guess, but maybe not. But for me, I just, no freaking way I was going to guess that is what was happening. Very Groundhog-esque. The next one is Phantom Limb by Lucinda Berry. I read this one on Kindle Unlimited, so it is available on there. It is about this girl and her twin sister who they live together now. I don't remember how old they were, but really early 20s, I believe. But they live together. One has a job and like a boyfriend, and the other one stays at home all the time, never leaves, super depressed, hurts herself, and it goes back in time to their upbringing. And so their upbringing in childhood was terrible. They eventually went to a foster family, and I think they adopted them. And so, like, their foster family is great, but they really remember their traumatic childhood. Something happens, and the one sister who, like, has a job and a boyfriend and all that ends up going to, like, an inpatient psych unit, and they kind of delve more into her childhood and all this stuff that's happened to her since. And the ending I did not see coming. There's kind of, like, 2 twists. One of them a little bit easier to guess, but the other one, no way, Jose, I was not gonna guess that. So this book was crazy, very dark, of like, you know, their suicide, their self-harm, and their traumatic AF upbringing was hard to read. So just keep that in mind. The plot by Hanff Korelitz, I don't know. This book is amazing. It's pretty dense. I listened to it. It is about this guy who was a English professor, and he did this, like, I don't want to say summer camp because that's stupid. This thing with college kids, and it like a writing seminar, I guess. I don't know. And they would, like, you know, write stuff, and they would give feedback and try to help these younger people become writers, like an English thing. I don't know the correct terminology. But there was this one, like, really cocky student when this professor did it, and he was like, I have the best plot to a book ever, and I'm going to write this book, and it's going to be freaking great, and it's going to be popular, and it's going to be written into movies, and it's going to be awesome. But he wouldn't tell anybody for a long time. Well, he eventually told this professor what this plot was, and the professor was like, you know what, you're right, that's going to be pretty dope. And so he was just kind of like waiting and waiting and waiting for it to happen. Well, then later, years later, I think, he finds out this kid died and never wrote the book. So he writes the book, which is very controversial. But he writes the book, gets it published. It's super freaking popular. Everybody loves it because they're like, wow, that ending was freaking insane. Like, the plot twist was crazy. This whole book is about a plot twist that you don't even freaking know. Like, you don't know it until the end. And someone starts sending him like a threatening letter, like, I know you didn't write this. Like, I know you stole this. This is not your story. It's not your story to tell, blah, blah, blah. So he's freaking out because he knows someone knows he's like stole it, but he thought this kid only told him. Anyway, it's great. That's kind of like the premise of it, is someone found out and he is trying to like hide that he stole this, kind of, but also figure out who is blackmailing him. Very good. I think my only complaint about this book is that it was really long, but the ending I thought made it worth it. And it is like a book within a book. Like, you do get bits and pieces of the book he wrote in this book, but it's like the beginning. So just know that. Some people don't like that. I really liked it, but it is weird. It's like a whole nother story in a story. Blindsided by Karin is another one that the ending I did not see coming. Joe did, but it's fine. It's fine. I've talked about this book a lot on this channel. I love it. And I love Karin, but it is about this medical examiner who lives in her hometown, and she went out to lunch one day with her sister. She goes to the bathroom because she gotta go to the bathroom, and there's like a girl from the town like on the toilet, cut open, like dying, and she tries to help her. I've twisted. Okay, I'm in a chair. I didn't want to stand today. She tries to help her. She ends up dying, and more deaths occur, and so there's like a serial killer in town, so they're trying to figure out who this killer is, who it is, and like why they were doing what they're doing. Like, I never saw coming. There was a certain point towards the end you're like, oh, but before that I had no clue who it was, and it was great. The book was great. Whodunit was great. Highly recommend. It's dark AF. Know that. One book that's not dark AF that I thought had a spectacular plot twist is The Collective by Alison Gaylin. This one was like a Book of the Month book a long time ago. I didn't actually get it from Book of the Month, but I listened to it, and this book was incredible. I loved it. It is about this woman who, I believe it was her daughter died. So she lost her daughter to like controversial ways. Not like controversial, but she thinks one thing happened to her daughter, but like it went down in the record as something else. So the person who she believes killed her daughter did not get reprimanded for that, and goes on to be like, you know, rich white guy, valedictorian, gets all this recognition for being so amazing, but she's like this dude killed my freaking daughter. So she takes it upon herself to get revenge on him, and she finds a like group on the dark web called The Collective who like get revenge for their children's death. So like they'll like give her a duty, like, you need to do this at this time, blah blah blah, and so she just does it, but hers is involved in killing someone else's kid's murderer, and then that way she knows like the group will kill her daughter's murderer, so they kind of like do it for each other so they're not implicated in the death because there's no connection. But she starts to like not love the group, and like stuff starts happening, and the ending I thought was crazy. The plot twist I did not once again see coming, obviously, but it's a very good book, and it's very intense. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the audiobook. I do own this book, I just don't have it with me. let a friend of mine borrow it. I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Iain Reid. Once again, I know I've talked about this book a lot, but it's because I love it. And I think the ending was crazy. And I definitely did not see that coming. Some people might. Don't watch the movie. Please, don't watch the movie. I'm Thinking of Ending Things. It's terrible. And if you have watched it, do not let that deter you from reading the book. Because the book's way better. And you may be thinking, Bailey, you're always going to say the book's better. Wrong. Do you want to know what movie I think is better than the book? Knock at the Cabin, based off of Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. The endings are very different, but I do think the movie's better. I think it builds suspense better than the book built suspense, so there's that. But I just had to throw that in there somewhere because I recently watched it and the movie was amazing. But I'm Thinking of Ending Things is about this main character, and he is taking his girlfriend back home to meet his parents. And it is just, like, the whole book is, I just felt super unsettled. Like, what the heck am I reading? What the heck is going on? This guy is really weird. And, like, their relationship's really weird. His family is really freaking weird. But the ending, crazy. Like, I don't even know how to explain the book to you. Like, it's just a ride. And the ending is just like, boom, crazy. Boom. Dang, I thought I put this on this list, but then I didn't see it and I didn't grab it. And it's down there, and I'm not going to grab it now. But it is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I just sneezed. I hope Joe cuts that out. This book is also very unsettling. It is about this woman who gets this job as a nanny, watching these kids. Obviously, that's what a nanny does. But this house is like super cool in the middle of nowhere, super high tech, really cool gadgets and gizmos. But they have had multiple nannies before this girl, and they all like leave screaming from this house and being like, this house is haunted, like freak out and quit. And so the house is super creepy, and it's kind of just her in this creepy ass house, but it's told in like letter format. So this girl is in jail at this time for something. I don't remember if it tells you what, so I'm not going to say what, but she is writing a letter to a lawyer for him to represent her. And so she's like telling the whole story of what happened. So that's kind of like how it's told. So it's like her writing the letters to her lawyer being like, please help me, I'm in jail, I did not do this. And then it goes back and tells the story of what happened, but she's writing it down. But yeah, the ending, I did not see coming. But, you know, I'm also very easy to fool. So just know that. Just know that. But yeah, The Turn of the Key is one of my favorite books. It's super like atmospheric, spooky house vibes. Very reminiscent of Bly Manor. What is it called? The Haunting of Bly Manor or something on Netflix, which they're both based off of the book The Turn of the Screw. So, which is why they kind of resemble each other. But if you loved that show, this book gives those vibes. The last one, which I also read years ago, so I truly don't think I can tell you anything about it, is The Other Miss by Mary Kubica. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember anything other than this girl, like, I want to say she, like, blacks out. Like, she'll just, like, randomly black out and wake up somewhere, and, like, something's wrong with her. But you don't know what. And they've recently moved to a new town. I also want to say she's a doctor. Can't remember. But deaths start happening, and she, like, thinks it's her because she blacks out. And she's like, well, what the heck? Like, I can't account for where I was because I was blacked out. That's all I remember, and I don't even know if that's accurate, but I did really enjoy this book, and I very, very, very much enjoy the plot twist, and highly recommend it. Have you read any of these books? Tell me down below. If you have, did you or did you not like the plot twist? I hope you did, because that'd be awkward if you didn't. But that's all the books from like all the books I had on Goodreads that I think had the best plot twist. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.